Downtown Minneapolis has the flair of a ghost town these days. City Hall and other municipal, county and state government buildings have been fortified. The city spent several months planning and preparing for what is likely to be the highest profile trial in the history of Minnesota. Razor wire, brand new fencing and concrete barriers. This is how Minneapolis tried to secure the Hennepin County Government Center. This is where the Derek Chauvin trial will start in just a few hours. There will be National Guard troops here. Police will be out in force here to secure the proceedings inside. All around town, there's a noticeable strain in the air because of the trial.
There's a lot of tension, especially all the defenses going up. It just seems like escalation almost, like they're already prepping for the worst.
If it doesn't stay peaceful, it doesn't. But if justice is not served, I don't think it will, and it shouldn't.
No, they may change police policies, but ain't nothing gonna change out here though.
The trial will begin with the potentially lengthy process of jury selection. The court has allocated up to 3 weeks for that. Ex-Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin faces charges of second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter for the death of George Floyd. The 46-year-old black man had been detained by Chauvin at this street corner 10 months ago on May 25th last year. Many say what has since become George Floyd Square is foremost a symbol for the pain and grief this community is still experiencing. Emotions are running high, firmly rooted in deep mistrust for the police and the U.S. justice system. Steve Floyd leads a local neighborhood organization called the Agape movement. It aims at improving relations between the community and law enforcement. He is concerned the trial will reopen wounds.
Oh, it's not business as usual. The more closer we get to the trial, the more intense and more emotional it gets, the more triggers reappear. You know, it becomes more brought forth from your consciousness of what happened, what we went through the last 10 months.
Minneapolis still shows plenty of scars from the angry protests, the rioting and the violence that followed the death of George Floyd. Burned out and completely destroyed buildings, piles of rubble serve as a reminder of what potentially can flare up and happen again here.
The worst scenario is protests get aggressive from the beginning. That's the worst.
In anticipation of reigniting social unrest during the trial, which is expected to go on for months, Minneapolis has spent millions on beefing up security. $500,000 alone on barricading the city's police precinct buildings. However, as the world is watching what happens next, many here say that there will be a much higher price to pay if justice is not served for the killing of George Floyd.
Well, that report from DW correspondent Stefan Simons, who joins us now from outside the court. Welcome, Stefan. So how are people reacting to news of this delay?
Well, actually, they don't even know about it yet, I think, because the protesters which you saw in the background here an hour ago are all gone. They are marching through the city. What's left is the National Guard, some National Guard soldiers right in front of the Hennepin County Government Center where this trial was starting this morning, about an hour and a half ago. With a little surprise, jury selection is delayed for 1 day, so this will start tomorrow, not today. Why is that? Because the prosecution motioned that as long as the defense, as they had planned and said, is going to the Supreme Court and trying to get clearance on an appeals court decision that a third murder charge is being back allowed into the court. As long as this is happening, they want to delay the jury selection. So all the jurors, the potential jurors, and these are dozens of people who were waiting to be selected or dismissed, they're all going home and come back tomorrow. And for today, court proceedings are halted.
Right, so 3 weeks set aside for jury selections. That sounds like a long time to pick one jury. Why is it likely to be so contentious?
It is because, of course, this is a landmark trial here for the state, for the city, for the United States of America, I think, and maybe even for the world, because you know, it's all about fairness, impartiality of those jurors. There is no way that anybody here in this community, in African-American community, in the community where George Floyd was actually killed, etc., will accept anything but a really impartial and fair jury selection. What does that mean? You cannot end up with 10 white people on the jury seats and 2 black people, for example. There needs to be impartiality. This is what protesters here, this is what community leaders, of course, want and ask the court to deliver. Now, this is complicated because there is a process called voir dire, and that means that the judge, the prosecution, as well as the defense can ask the potential jurors questions, and if they do not, in the mind of a prosecutor or a defense team lawyer, qualify for the job, that means if they're not impartial or if they have some notion against police or against black people, then they're not qualifying. So this will be tedious work, and as you said, up to 3 weeks for this. Well, it's needed. They should take their time for this. Otherwise, this trial is tainted off the bat.
All right. We'll leave it there. Good talking to you, Stefan Simons in Minneapolis. Thank you so much.